to me the way you're doing. Don't do that. Don't come over here with all that. Don't come over here with all that energy you giving. Just chill out. Chill out. I'm in this hole looking crazy, bro. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, so wait. Okay. So let's see now. It should be live now, man. I'm cracking up at this, bro. Please tell me how we're live now, bro. I'm here cracking up, man. Oh man. Okay. So I see Tiff already. Y'all got me. That just made me laugh. Technical difficulties. This is what we deal with. Okay, so let's see if it works this time. But it says YouTube is not receiving enough. Hold on. We go see. Hopefully this works. Okay, so let's check it out this time to make sure. Let me close all of this up, and then I'll be able just to edit this beginning part out. You know, afterwards. Okay, so hopefully YouTube. Okay, it's live now. I see you, Tiff. Hey, you guys, welcome back to another episode of Free Thinking the Culture podcast with your host, Noir. Please like, comment, and subscribe as we have this difficult conversation revolving around Roe versus Wade. I thank you for tuning in, and let's get to the first source of media, which comes via ABC News 10. This actually came out last month, but I found the clip and a couple of comments that I want to go over to go ahead and build up throughout the history and then also to the comments to where we are now, okay? So let's get started with ABC News.
And you've heard us say that a lot this week, Roe v. Wade or Roe versus Wade, but some may not really know what or who these people were. So we want to break that down for you today. ABC 10's Lena Howland is live at the Capitol this morning. Lena, can you tell us about the significance of this case in our country?
Yeah, Bria, good morning. The significance of this case, Roe v. Wade is the name of that original lawsuit which led to the landmark Supreme Court decision all the way back in 1973. And that is what established a woman's right to an abortion in the United States. So let's break that down for you. Roe is short for Jane Roe, and that's actually a pseudonym for a woman named Norma McCorvey. She was 22 years old, unmarried, unemployed, and pregnant for the third time in 1969 when she wanted to have an abortion in 1969. But by the time the Supreme Court ruled in her favor, she had already given birth and put the baby up for adoption. Wade, short for Henry Wade, was the district attorney of Dallas County in Texas at the time, and it was his job to enforce a state law which banned abortions except to save a woman's life, meaning Wade was the person McCorvey sued when she sought the abortion in the first place. But despite that win nearly 50 years ago, UC Davis professor Lisa Aikimoto told us a majority of the Supreme Court does have the ability to go back and decide there is no constitutional right to an abortion.
That means it leaves the issue to the state legislatures and the state governors. So that means in some states, the state legislatures could decide to enact bans or very severe restrictions on access to abortion. But in other states, they might step forward, and several states have already done so, to provide strong protections for the right to decide.
If Roe v. Wade does get reversed, it would not outlaw abortions altogether across the country, but it would be up to each individual state to decide. So if this does move forward, 26 states are either certain or likely to ban abortion, while other Democratic states, such as California, could see an influx of women coming in from out of state seeking care for abortions.
Yeah, Lena, it's really good to know the history when you want to make your own informed opinion on something. So thank you so much for sharing that.
All right, and then we're going to go straight into the comments. On one comment made said Roe versus Wade wasn't an abortion right, wasn't about abortion rights. It was about the right to privacy. Even RGB said that she didn't agree with the outcome of the trial because it was viewed as a right to an abortion when that's not the case. And the reason why she knew that much ruling could be overturned. Thus, she also believed that the issue of abortion needed its own separate thing in order to solidify anything. I wanted to know your thoughts on this because it becomes very muddy when we say it should have had its own separate thing, which means that it was attached to something else that got it pushed through. So, which is why it was so easy to, overturn. Somebody in the comments on Station Head said it said that Roe lied and said that she was raped by a black man. And I was going to get to that topic. You have beat me to it, ma'am. But let me get to it. All right. All right, the next comment said, if Roe versus Wade law is going to stay in place, they need to make it a law that a man who does not want to be a dad is not obligated to pay child support. If he does not have the right to make a woman get an abortion, then he should not be obligated to pay child support. She wants to continue having a child without his support, then she needs to raise the child without his support. Good grief. All right, so then we get to the part where I remember hearing this, and this was just from the other day, and I wasn't aware of this fact. There was word that it was tied into the fact that she had brought up that she was gang raped and it had involved three black men. This is where I have an issue. This is where I have an issue. Um, it was fine. I understand her taking it to them and the lawyers originally, and it was just she just economically she couldn't handle it. I understood that. I understood that that issue coming because you shouldn't, of course, be having children if you can't be able to financially support them. Why bring another child into the world if you're not going to be able to care for them in all the ways that they should be cared for? So I agree with that. However, I wanted to make sure I did a fact check because when I heard about the rape situation, or should I say the sexual assault situation, I shouldn't bring that up on YouTube because I know how they are with that. Um, let's go over it. It said, was the Supreme Court's decision in Roe versus Wade made because Jane Doe said that she was violated? The answer was no. Jane Doe falsely claimed she was gang violated, but that accusation was not a factor in the court ruling. Pause. Why was that even a thing? Why was that even a thing? This was, I believe, another. I'm aware she lied. I'm seeing the comments. Why is this another bedside confession? I'm here with this now. I don't like the fact that this can just be thrown around just in situations when the original plan didn't work. That's why I gain issue at with this situation. It's not the fact that I don't have anything against you being in a tough economic position and this is what's right. I have no issue with that. However, bringing in innocent men is where I have the issue in this. Now they say that this had nothing to do with it being pushed through, but we know we've seen plenty of times in the law where just because it ain't on paper doesn't mean it ain't going on behind closed doors to get things pushed through. We are well aware of this. It is very suspect. It's very suspect. But it came from a viral video. It's circulating online, framed by the text that says, "Did you know that Roe versus Wade was passed only because Roe lied about being violated?" That's not true. Okay, so they're saying that that's not true. That's why I went to factcheck.org. It said violation played no part in the U.S. Supreme Court's 1973's decision in Roe versus Wade, that case that made access to abortion legal across the country. Rather, the court ruled in a 7-2 opinion. The woman had a constitutional right to abortion under the 14th Amendment's right to privacy. Okay. In fact, the court's decision didn't mention the circumstances that led to the plaintiff's pregnancy at all. It just said Roe alleged that she was unmarried and pregnant and that she wished to terminate her pregnancy by an abortion performed by a competent licensed physician under safe clinical conditions, that she was unable to get a legal abortion in Texas because her life did not appear to be threatened by the constitution of her pregnancy. Okay, I'm gonna come right back to that. And that she could not afford to travel to another jurisdiction in order to secure a legal abortion under safe conditions. This statement right here, where it said that she couldn't get it because her life did not appear to be threatened by the continuation of her pregnancy. Why then throw innocent men? Because back then you accuse a black man of anything. This or a man of anything. Let me just not just narrow it down to black men. You accuse a man of anything like this, they was go put on a hunt for these men. For this to be able to to be able to walk away from that and no repercussions at all should be held from that, I have an issue with that part. That's the part I have an issue with. So I'm just giving you just the side. No, it wasn't a late. Somebody asked, was it a late abortion? No, she just said that she didn't have the economic, background right then. She wasn't in a good financial place to be able to raise the child. And although I do agree, okay, if you can't afford to have it, you shouldn't be having it. The first step should have been you shouldn't have been, messing around without a protection. But okay, we're here. Um, I take issue with this. I'm just gonna be real with you. But let's go right into the statement that was made by Jazmine Sullivan on the BET Awards last night, which was tragic, by the way. And we'll come right back to this, okay? Bad. My bad. I had to unmute the mic. Sorry about that. Um, Here's why I have the issue with this. I don't disagree that it's a everybody thing because it involves all of us. You can't produce a child without the black man, without the black woman, without the man, without the woman. That's just facts. That's just facts. Even if you take the man out of the equation, you still gonna need the seed. Even if you take the woman out of the equation, you still gonna need the womb. We need each other. That's just facts. Okay. What I have an issue with is being always told it's not my business, stay out of woman's business, this, that, and the other. But then when you need us for this, it becomes very confusing with the discussion between black men and black women. I'm only speaking of black men and black women because that's my lane. That's my cultural background. Okay. So one person said on Twitter, didn't y'all say that men should stay out of women's uterus slash business? So men should only speak on the issue when it's in support, but gets chastised if they oppose. Sounds like bullying to me. I replied on Twitter myself and said, which is exactly why most of the men didn't know whether to answer or not. It can be I don't need a man for anything and stay out of our business 1 minute, and then you need us for this though. Are we in or out? No halfways. My point with that, it wasn't to start a debate or start any arguments on, you can't tell me what to do, this, that, and the other. When we make these decisions together, which you should be when it comes down to pregnancy, that's a together decision. From conception, from the moment it's going to happen to the end, that is a together thing. You should be procreating with somebody, or you should be allowing yourself to be impregnated by somebody, or for Ben, you should be impregnating somebody that you know that's going to be a solid life partner, that you know that's somebody that you want to procreate with. It can't then be mind your business, my body, my business. But then when you have the baby, it got to be, but I need your money though. Do you understand like what I'm saying? It's like, so men literally in this situation have no say so, which is why I'm having, this is the disconnect between men and women when it comes to this. And that's my part of the discussion I want to get into. Okay. But then let's go back, because of course, somebody had to come at me and say something crazy. Hold on, here we go. They say if a woman has a baby that you don't want her to have, it's your responsibility to care for it too. You truly can't wrap your head around that. Too complicated? Question mark. No, you just think you're smarter than you are. Now, see, this is the issue. Never once did I come at anybody and disrespectfully or anything like this. But this whole attitude of this type of response, I don't have time for. I replied, never did I imply that. What I'm saying is generally men are shamed for having any input. We're usually told it's a woman's choice only. Now we're being told we are needed for this. You can't continue to cherry pick. When we as a unit should be deciding together. That was my rebuttal to that. Because to me, it is a us type of situation. You understand? Like for me, I don't feel like we should be sitting up picking and choosing and being petty when it comes to those type of things like that. Right. One of the comments said, my thing is, if you don't want a child, stop skeeting up on these gals. I 100% agree with that. I 100% agree with that. Also, on the other end of that spectrum too, stop letting these men shoot up the club if you know you are not ready for that responsibility, and then y'all blaming each other. We both bear a sense of responsibility when it comes to these situations. Instead of us just pointing the fingers, how about we sit down as a unit and say, hey, you got to put on the condom, bro. Or hey, ma'am, You need to go grab a plan B. Whatever works for you in your situation. I'm not trying to tell nobody how to do, but if we don't want these scenarios, this could be easily avoided if we have these difficult discussions. If the sisters, if they don't want to put on the rubber, ain't no glove, no love, right? So what? Look, I just looked down and Big Brad said, "No gloves, no love." I wasn't even looking down. He said, "I'm tired of hearing so many excuses from women," and here's the thing though, is I think the excuses is what have us in the situation we in now, with so many kids being in foster care, so many kids, and we not even go touch the topic of drugs being involved, but it's the fact of men not being in the homes because these are kids that they didn't want, but then they're not taking responsibilities because they shooting up the club thinking, oh, let them deal with it. That's not how it's supposed to go. Women allowing them on the club to be shot up and then expecting the men that you know aren't going to be responsible in these situations to then take care of a child. We have to think more clearly when we address things like this. We do. Foster care is absolutely in shambles. It's too many children out here that's deserving of love that did not ask to be here. But yet, here we are. Here we are. But then can we talk about how this topic now is bringing men into it when really a lot of men probably were used as catalysts to get this off the ground? Because why was the R word being violated even brought into this situation when that was not true? I'm tired of the bedside confessions, of you trying to clear your spirit and clear your conscience when it's time for you to go. Because where was the efforts looking for with said men during that time? I want to know that. Where was the degree of urgency when it was like, okay, let's point them out? We have to be more responsible, and when we make these allegations, especially when it's becoming something as big as, the legalities behind it. You say, somebody say, y'all, this is definitely the end of time. I'm definitely convinced now. People are saying that this is tragic and ghetto, and I 100% agree, because here we are having this difficult discussion of where do we go from here, and that's my question to you guys. So I'm asking, especially the ladies in the audience, when it comes to this, where do we go from here? And I want to know your thoughts. And I'm just going to read some of the comments just to see what are the thoughts. You say we have to protect ourselves first and foremost, no matter what the man tells us. And I have to 100% agree with that. You have to protect yourself, and you have to be sure that that's something that you both want. Not only you, but you both. You say, though it may seem unfair, I think as a woman, we have to bear a little more of the responsibility since we're the ones who can get pregnant. Okay, I can understand that thought. I can understand that. As a woman, I have always told, man, you not freely. We have a baby in shotgun wedding. You taking it back to the old school, huh? You should say, hi, shotgun wedding, baby. You start doing that again, it's about to be a lot of hoax up around here. He said we have to be responsible, period. And I 100% agree with that, as both men and women. And notice, I'm not putting 100% responsibility on just the women or the men. I say we all bear the responsibility when it comes to children. We are a unit. We are demigods running up around here. Why do I call us demigods? Because only one God can put a being together and create a being. Black man, black woman, man, woman, when they get together, they create a being. That is God. That's my opinion on that. Okay? So let me scroll up to view some more of the comments. Let me see. I read that when you said foster care is a mess. You said because that woman may be okay with having babies, she shouldn't be condemned for wanting a child. I can agree with that, but then also, where do we go from the discussion of, okay, if the man sits down and say, hey, I don't want this, like the comment said, should the man now have an opt-out? Because women have an opt-out regardless, because they the ones who bear the responsibility of the kids, correct? So would then men be allowed to have an out? Do you think that would shift the accountability from having children if men were given an equal playing field and had an out? If you have an in where you have access to rights of termination or not, and that decision lies strictly on you. If men are now given that option, where do you think that we go from here with that? You say I'm 30 years old and have and only had sex with 6 men. Nowadays, if you ask these younger girls their sex count, they don't lost count. Okay, I try not to even bother. The man is responsible for himself. I shouldn't have to be responsible for the both of us. True, that's a decision that should of course, be made beforehand. You said natural herbal remedies are available for those who are not ready. Oh, okay. You know what? You just taught me something. I did not know that there were natural remedies that are available for those who are not ready. Who knew? Well, clearly Big Mama Saturn knew, because I'm sitting here like, wow, okay. You say, yeah, for the women who have kids for strictly child support purposes. Ooh, okay. No. Nobody's hating you for saying that. That's a good reason. Because let's be real, in this day and age, there are people having children just for a check. That is a thing. So that has to be brought into this discussion. Period. Okay. You said I make my own natural birth control. Interesting. Wow, I could learn a lot from you. I had no idea. Wow. Okay. Yeah. 27 says, can the guys explain to the women why they don't want children with one woman, but would go and have one with another? Please. Ooh. From a male perspective, I can explain this to you. From the same aspect that you have in you as a woman, you understand how we can't wrap our heads around how some of these women could, let's say, and let me not use them as a bad example, but let somebody like a Future impregnate them before a Russell Wilson. It's something that triggers in certain people, something that attracts you, that activates that. Does that make sense to you? Like biologically, it almost reaches you down to a cellular level. Like that's the one I want to procreate with. It's something that taps into you deep down to where you just kind of say, I want her to bear my child. We have that as men, just like women have that saying, I want to have his babies. It's something within us that we connect down all the way down to a cellular level that gives you the green light to say, I want that. It has to be her. I can't even put it into words, but that's my best way of explaining it. You just feel it all over. You just know. You said it should be more accountability overall. Absolutely, I definitely agree with that. There's no baby without two people, so two people need to consent and commit. Both are mandatory. I 100% agree with that. That is an excellent point, because it is. Remember what I just said earlier? You can't have one without the other. No matter how much you keep saying, I don't need you for this, I don't need you for that, you do absolutely need a man for that point, and men absolutely need women for that point. There's no getting around it. I don't care how far medical advances go, you're gonna need one of the other, both, for the process. That's just my opinion on that. You say it sounds like a threat to me. Wait, which part? Which part sounds like a threat to you? Look, you got me looking now. You say they look at it as a money grab. Some do, and that's very unfortunate. You say maturity should be there before having kids. Period. Facts. There's no that's the first part right there. Maturity, making sure that you're financially responsible in these situations. Those are vital when you're thinking about bringing a child into this world, in my opinion. Because we shouldn't be considering children being brought into this world without thoroughly thinking about, do I want to see this person as my life partner to be able to raise a child with? That should 100% be part of the conversation, in my opinion. You say it's a lack of self-respect and self-love. I wouldn't tell. Oh, it cut off the conversation. Okay, I wouldn't tell nobody but God that I a Future. You know what? I have to agree with you on that. I have, because when you think about, okay, this person has so many kids, you've been warned in a situation like that. Let's talk about in a Future situation, an NBA boy situation, a Nick Cannon situation, you have been warned. You already have a track record. London on the track, you already have a track record. But then notice those same women, as far as Summer Walker, coming out still complaining. The baby mamas before her just came out the blue and told her, ma'am, this ain't what you want, but you thought you were different. Look at what Summer Walker is now. She's expecting her second child, but she's still in the media talking about what she would, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Baby, it's too late. The child is already here. You cannot change that. Let me continue reading comments. My husband was was honest from, I don't know what that is, from Juno. When I first wanted a child, he was like, nope. But now that we waited 7 years later, we are so happy and better. You know what? Congratulations to you guys. And you said, okay, from from first jump. Okay, got you. Okay, you said, but if the man has gotten the woman pregnant and then the woman say, I don't want a baby with you, would you go get rid of it? Why do men feel that's okay? Wait a minute, hold on, I'm rereading. Oh, why is it okay? I don't think that's okay. I don't think I had to reread the comment just to make sure I was making sense. Yeah. 27. I do not think that that's okay. If you say that's just as bad as somebody saying when I marry you, we can have a child, but then you get together and say no, I don't want a kid. Never mind. It's not okay. It's not okay to trick people like that. You have to be 100% sure when you make those things. And I'm not making excuses for anybody. If you two agree to have a child and then one person backs out of the deal, hell no, you are responsible for this child if the woman decides that she wants to go with that. That part I'm going to speak up on and say, no, you're responsible because you shouldn't went through this process because not everybody believes in termination. So I would have to go with no. You still need to be responsible for that, in my opinion. You say mental health is also very important when it comes to children. Facts, Big Mama Saturn. I have to agree with that. It's about having permission from both parties, partners, and respecting it when it relates to becoming a parent if the person says no. I agree. And both people need to be 100% in agreement. And once that seed is planted, the seed must grow, in my opinion. That's just me. So, how do y'all feel about folks bringing religion into these decisions? Ooh, now that makes it that muddy the water a little bit because see, we pick and choose a lot of the times when people want to use religion and in things to try to justify things without even putting religion in the fact of are you even married before having this kid? We ignore certain parts of religion for one thing, but then try to apply it other ways. You know what I'm saying? Remember when I brought up the religious part of honor thy mother and thy father, but they leave off that second half, but do not upset your child. They always forget that little part. You hear what I'm saying? They always forget that one little part in the back. They want you to pay attention to this up here. They don't want you to pay attention to this part in the back over here. They don't want that. They don't want that. They say some women want kids for government assistance. Let's not forget that Section 8 and food stamps. That again, when somebody brought it up, said some people just have it for a check. That also would be the check, the main check, the government check, the one that that's gonna be there for until they say, okay, the child is out of the system. Now you got to go on. So yes, I 100% agree with that part too. He said, let me see. He has so many bodies attached to him. It's sad. I'm assuming you thinking about talking about future that they still open them legs and that's sad. They said they thought they were gonna be game changers. Again, that goes into the fact that we have to be more responsible when we on who we vet to be bearing a child with. We can't sit up and just see the short end goals. We have to think long term goals when it comes to kids because them kids don't ask to be here. They're not asked to be included in these situations that we decide as adults. They're not responsible for anything until they're out the house and on their own. We have to guide them from the moment they leave our bodies till the moment they leave our homes and beyond. Parenting doesn't stop just because they leave the child leaves the home. We already know that. So we have to continue with that. You say it happens all the time. Think before you F. Hello, black people. Look, and we talking specifically for us. We're talking to the black people, especially the ones in the front and the back. We have to talk to everybody because it's not just, even though it involves everybody, for us, I can only talk to my culture because that's who I'm familiar with. Okay? A lot of these women don't know and are not educated properly. Not everyone talks to their children about sex. You know what? I can agree with that. A lot of people go out into the world not knowing and just thinking, oh, it's just a thing, not even possibly knowing that these situations can happen. I agree. But we also should not be using the abortions as a form of just birth control just because I shoulda, coulda, wouldas. We need to be better in educating ourselves from beginning to end. That's what I think with that. It's your responsibility as a parent to not to help your children not make the same mistakes that you made when you were younger. Remember, I told you the story about my mother and father and how they were on me religiously during those primal years when the blood gets to pumping and that testosterone get to moving. They were on me making sure I was involved in activities. They sat me down, had the birds and the bees talk. I believe still then in school they had the sex ed classes, so I was in that. They basically scared the crap out of me because they did not want me to follow the same mistakes of them being seniors in high school and having a child. So to me, that's a responsibility for all of us. Okay, let me scroll down because I don't want to get behind. The statistics show most women who get abortions are Christian. And there you go. There's your religious part about it, okay? And you say they don't need to forget our mother's baby, daddy's maybe, before considering getting pregnant. Oh, but I also think Nastasia Gray, that also falls under the line of mothers know for a fact who the baby belonged to. Whereas a lot of the time, I think a lot of that comes from a lot of fathers do not know where those kids, who's actually the father of that said child. There was a study conducted not too long ago, and I believe out of all the men, 30% of those men were not the biological fathers of a child that they thought was theirs. That was only in one state, with a select number of men. Could you imagine if they set up and ran DNA tests on all men in the United States and all children? I fear that the infrastructure of America would be destroyed. I do, especially with the fact of men being able to back out of that situation if they now know that child is not theirs. Could you imagine the destruction in America if if that happened? Let me go to YouTube really quick and read some of the comments. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ignore you guys. You said, if I supported black genocide, would I be for abortion or against it? I'm sorry, are you talking to me when you said that, terror destroyer? I'm trying to understand. Oh, I don't know. Say Hillary Clinton. I admire Margaret. Oh God, Hillary Clinton. Here she go. I admire Margaret enormously. Her courage, her tenacity, her vision. I'm really in awe of her. There are a lot of lessons we can learn from her life. I believe that was part of something that bent Hillary Clinton in her butt later on. Hey, Amazing Niche. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you need the volume up over here? Hold on right quick. My bad. I thought the volume was up. I didn't want it to blast. Can you hear me better over here now? Hopefully, it doesn't get too loud. My bad for you guys. But thank you for letting me know that, Amazing Niche. I may have had the mic too far from my mouth too. So my bad for that. But yeah, I remember that quote from Hillary Clinton, and they brought that up during her run. And I think that was a part of another reason why Hillary didn't make the cut amongst other things. That's why she didn't make the cut for that. So, yeah. Sorry, Hillary. Not sorry. Anyway, you say these dudes gonna be looking like Nick Cannon out here. What do you mean? A child is never going to keep a man who doesn't want to be kept. I can agree to that. I can agree. I agree. Abortion should not be used as a form of contraceptive. I agree with that, because I feel like hey, Big Mama Saturn just educated us. There are more natural ways. And honestly, you should be trying to protect yourself at all costs when you're exchanging energy like that from the beginning to end, regardless. So I just think that we have to do better on both sides of the fence. And this is not me just targeting women. It is a responsibility for the men as well. We bear the seed. The women have the soil in the room. We both we both share equal opportunity when it comes to making a child. Okay. You said, Amy Love said, black women have been so sexualized that we are killing each other over high risk HPV is more common in black women. Again, not only that, another reason why we should be careful and not just thinking that, oh, I'll just go get rid of it as just a thing. Not only are we destroying our bodies in the process, and when I say we, I'm meaning just us, because we're just giving away seed and women are just going up and just destroying their bodies with that. That kind of puts you at a higher risk of issues with pregnancy, which you're going to get multiple abortions from my reading. Ladies in the comments, let me know if that's true or not. But from my understanding, it's detrimental for some of you guys to, consistently go and get that done. It causes issues in some women, not all, but a lot from what I read. Some people say how ghetto. DNA to be mandatory. Let me scroll down to about I'm behind. Herpes is different from HPV. Oh, I'm aware. Yeah, they say abortion is hard on the body. We all need to do better as a community. I agree. You said there's also sexual diseases out there that we should be worried about. You know how many people have herpes? Correct. These are a lot of things that we should be thinking about again before we go to have these children. Remember, back in the day, they even used to go so much as getting a blood test to make sure that you weren't even remotely related to the person that you were about to lay down with. They went as far as doing that to make sure, not only for STDs. Hey, Miss Parker, not only for STDs, but for different genetic things that could be complications for later on for the child. So I think it's very important to even get back to that if you really want to, get technical with it. You say abortion can have a detrimental effect also. I agree. Over-sexualization is an issue in our community, so we view sex in the wrong way, and then we have sex too young. That's another major issue. I agree. I agree. And you know what? It's a lot of peer pressure being put on kids to think that that's the right thing to do. Like, oh yeah, yeah, no, no, you're not a real guy. You're not a real man if you haven't taken one down by the time you're in high school. And I can't even tell you the amount of pressure, probably from both boys and girls. I can only speak on the male spectrum. On when I remember in high school how I wasn't ready to have sex or anything like that, but it was mainly coming from the girls for me. Like that's the weird thing. The girls and grown women. That's the weird thing for me. So I wasn't even ready, but I was kind of thrust into that spectrum of having, intercourse. And to me, that's something that we need to really, really be protective of when it comes to our kids, both boys and girls. It's not just our protect the girls, it's protect our children, period. That's what we should be working on. You said my dad said that he was surprised I didn't have a kid sooner. And you know what? That's a sad statement to where you would think that someone would not want to do better for themselves. He probably meant that harmful, like a harmless type of situation. But for you, I'm pretty sure you were looking like, what? Like, did you not have faith in me? So hold on, let me read up. You said, let me see your test first, right? Because, let me see them tests. You say, so men going to get birth control? I keep condoms on deck. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, if you tell me snip or anything like that, you ain't finna put that thing down there. You ain't finna be clipping them down here. Tell me some vasectomy. No. Oh, we moving away from that. You said we've progressed in a lot of ways, but we've progressed in a lot of ways also. You know what? It's almost simultaneously, always smiling, that it's kind of like a trade-off. Unfortunately, it's like we'll trade one thing for something lesser, and I don't understand. You said the more abortions a woman has, it makes it very hard for them to be able to hold babies in the womb down the line. That's what I remember reading, that part. You said, let us find out you was 15 knocking down older women. I told you that story, yeah. Right after I end YouTube, I'll run it by you again. I was 14 actually. It wasn't even 15. I was 14. And I was a freshman in high school. Yeah, I remember. She was a coach. Yeah, it happens to boys, but we don't talk about it because it's taught in neighborhoods amongst boys that it's okay. Like, oh, you've become a man. Like, oh, you slept with a 30-year-old. Oh my God. Like, that's seen as a trophy when it shouldn't be, because then it thrusts boys into hypersexuality. And then we also think about women in completely different ways when you're raised in it too early, in my opinion. So it's just, unless you do the work in correcting that later on in your life, it becomes an NBA young boy, a future, and all these other scenarios to where they're reckless and they don't care and they only treat women a certain way. However, let me go ahead and wrap up this video for YouTube. I'm interested to know your thoughts on this topic when it comes to Roe versus Wade. I know towards the end we kind of went away from that. However, I didn't want the discussion of Roe versus Wade, the overturning, to be just one particular topic. It's very layered when you really think about it. It's not just about that decision and all. It comes to the point of, as men and women, we have to sit down and we have to talk on where do we go from here as a unit. Because honestly, you have to first make the decision to get pregnant, and then, if one decides they want to terminate and everything like that, both of you should be sitting down and should be given both logical points on why you shouldn't be able to go through with all of that. So to me, I just feel like it's a discussion that we all should be a part of, and it shouldn't just be one way. All right, but please let me know your thoughts. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. All right, bye guys.